I'm
Excuse
Gen
me.
Z, born in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
first wave Gen Zer, and a lot of artists that are either millennials in the 90s, a lot are not educated. Well, not a lot, but some aren't educated on music, and they can't go to different degrees in the musical universe if they don't have the basics of music theory.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed that your father was also a wizard, and it made him better in a way, and also a better producer in a way, because he had music education
Yeah,
in his toolbox.
yeah. Well, the education came by several different sources. One, he had a father. My grandfather was an accomplished violinist and wanted to be a symphony violinist, but because of the area he came up in, they wouldn't allow blacks to be in orchestras at the time. You know,
And
so
what was that area they
that
came
was
from?
like in the 40s and 50s,
40s
basically.
and 50s. Was
Yeah.
this in the South or the East Coast? Where
Well, they were in D.C., which was considered the South, or the Southeast, I guess. But because of segregation and Jim Crow, they weren't allowed. Matter of fact, you had people like David Baker, who was a very well-known teacher. He ended up becoming the person who put together the jazz department at Indiana University, and you know, they told him that he auditioned. Uh, he was a trombone player, and he auditioned, and they told him, you know, he was the best trombone player they ever heard, but they couldn't hire him because he was black. You know, so that was just the reality. But I have a lot of admiration for the musicians who came up because they didn't let uh, things stop them. You know, they would find, they were very creative. They'd think outside the box, and they would do things to make things happen in spite of
that's a very
discrimination and segregation. So,
that's a very good pivot into the next topic.
mm,
I'm very aware, being black in America, because I was raised by a mom and a father born in the 50s,
mm-hmm.
uh, respectively being from Jacksonville in the Midwest and Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
In your own experience as a son looking up to your father, was your father ever vulnerable with the family about what he went through?
Well, I can remember a situation where when we moved from Brooklyn, New York to Los Angeles, he wanted to continue his education, and he applied to University of Southern California, and they wouldn't accept him, and he was very, very disturbed by that. Matter of fact, he was writing letters to congressmen, to the president of the United States, and everybody, because he had served his country. And it's like you come back, and it's like, okay, you still got to deal with discrimination after you fought in the war and stuff like that. So in terms of being vulnerable, that was one instance I can say that he was very thing, because he was very educated, because like I said, he took corresponding classes from Berklee School of Music, and then he studied at New York University.
NYU.
Yeah, NYU.
Yes, sir.
And that's where he got his orchestration, counterpoint, semantics, and all that. That's where he really learned how to work with orchestras. Because, like I said, 61, he wrote orchestral piece, and he didn't have an orchestra accessible to try this, try that. All of it was up in his head. So, which is, I mean, to me, amazing when you think of writing for a 75-piece orchestra, and it takes a very cerebral person, to not only have studied that, but to be able to retain all that information in your head.